Yeah, I did that last month. I tried it with $3 because I just wanted to do some testing on one of the courses because I have two courses. So and they're kind of related to each other. So I sent a message out to the students on the other course and saw some good response from that. I mean, if I would have had it at $19, I would have made a lot more money. But I mean, sometimes you have to experiment just to see what works. And so now I know what works, and I can go back and do it again at a different price point. And I think you're allowed 2 times a month to do that. So you want to be very wise on how you use that. I was thinking about maybe, towards the end of the month and then into the next month so that you can kind of hit, maybe 3 or 4 times or something like that. But let's talk about one of the things that I wanted to ask everyone is, and then we'll talk to Grant about what he does, is what do you think, and we'll start with Alan on this one, what do you think it takes to be a successful instructor on Udemy.com? What are some of the elements that you think people have to have?
To me, it's really, really simple, and I batter this away in the Udemy Facebook studio from time to time. And it's down to marketing. Your course title, what's in it for the student? What's the benefit for the student? What will the student gain from taking the course? Will they get a better job? Will they learn a better skill? Will they have some fun? Will they learn how to paint? Will they make more money? If your headline doesn't have a benefit for the student, the chances of it selling are low indeed. You can rewrite any course title to include a benefit, and it doesn't matter what the course is about. And I've proven this many times. People say to me, well, I couldn't do that on my course. So, well, if you're doing a course and the student is going to gain nothing, then nobody's going to take your course. There must be a reason for them taking the course, and if there's a reason for taking the course, put that in your headline. And that's like any advertising and marketing. You need a good, clear title, and the same goes for the subheading. In marketing, your headline has one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to make people read your next paragraph, which in Udemy case is the subtitle, which is a little bit bigger, and the sole description. So they have to go to your course, read the description. And the first paragraph of your description must make people read the second paragraph, and the second paragraph of your description, and so on. So you take people on a roller coaster, not with, I don't use tons of adjectives and awesomes and I'm so stoked and all this thing, because I'm British and we don't do that thing, but explain to people what they'll gain from the course. I also tell them very, very quickly at the early part of the course, don't take the circumstances. So, for example, on a course on making money on Amazon, I make it quite clear this is no get-rich course. If you're looking for a get-rich, want you, if you're willing to do work and do this and this and this, then your results can be this and this, and I will help you, I'll write your descriptions, I will do all these things. So I'm constantly testing headlines, titles, descriptions, bios, lecture titles, and so on. And sometimes a little change can make an enormous difference. Sometimes that difference reduces your income by half. Month to month has happened to me earlier this year, only a few weeks ago. But if you don't test things, you don't know. But the one secret, if I had to say, is that headline must have something there that will appeal to a potential student. Say, hey, that appeals to me. That's because, and that's the simplest thing. I've done other tests and experiments which I'll have to go through with you. But the headline, I think what happens, most people spend days, weeks, months producing the course. I've got to choose a headline, and it's the last minute. If I press the review button, I can send it. I can choose the URL. I can choose the headline at the last minute, and they don't think any more about it. And you see courses like learn about Excel, learn how to paint. Use Excel and get a better job has got to be a better title. Learn how to paint and enjoy your leisure time. There's always a benefit that you can put into a headline. If you go through Udemy and look at the courses, and you can't always tell which have had sales in terms of people paying for which haven't, but you can often work out which ones have and watch it time and time again. Those courses that have a benefit in the title are definitely the ones that are creating the most money. And it's just so easy to do, and most people don't do it.
Yeah, Cool. Awesome. Good information. Grant, talk about what you think that it takes to make a good instructor, and then give us a little bit of background on what you do as far as consulting. I know that you and I had a conversation about a week or two ago, and I really appreciate the information that you gave me. So go ahead and talk about that a little.
Yeah, well, first off, I want to say I agree 100% with everything Alan just said. That's so true. People tend to, yeah, like I see the exact same thing. People invest a lot of time in making a course, and then they publish it as fast as possible, and everything that's not directly like the content is just like haphazardly put together. The title, the image, the course description, everything. It's just like, whatever, I want to get it done. And that's like the worst thing you can do. It's actually it's probably more important to spend more time on the marketing, the promotional side of things, and like the title and all that stuff. Probably like invest more time in that. Like if you even if you have to take it away from the content, it's actually that important, because people don't even see the content until they've bought the course. So if you don't have that component in place, they're never going to buy your course. They'll never actually see your awesome content. It doesn't matter how awesome it really is. So you have to have that marketing side of things there. So to kind of quickly go through the way it works with what I do with clients. So I start with people in two different situations. Some people don't actually have a course yet. Some people currently have a course, but it's not making money. So for the first situation, people are trying to make a course. They want to make a course. They have an idea, but there's just something missing. They're not confident enough to go through the entire process. They're like, how do I know this is going to work? Or there's some technical thing that they're not sure about. And so basically I work them through like the best practices of making a really, really good course, but also keeping in mind that like that important component of marketing. So like another common issue people have is a lot of people have really, really bad sales videos. And one of the things Udemy is testing, or at least has recently been testing, is the greater emphasis on the sales video. And if you have a really, really bad sales video and that's what everybody's watching, obviously they're not going to buy your course, even if it's a really, really good course. So skimping on those types of details can kill your sales and will never let anybody actually benefit from your course. So there's a variety of things like that you want to really keep in mind as you're creating the course and make them as excellent as possible. There's lots of little tricks that you kind of figure out slowly on your own, like that I know, that I'm sure you guys know, different things that it's kind of like a best practice to do, like enable free preview on several of your lectures. A lot of people forget about that. Having PDF downloadable versions of your slides for screencasted courses. Like there's all these little details that some people might like have heard or read in passing, but they forget all of them when they actually publish their course. So that's one of the things I do is, so I kind of coach people through the content creation phase. I review each step of the way, like their first video, like their sales video, their slides, etc., and make sure they're on track and they're not making any huge mistakes, because there's like a series of really common mistakes people make there as well. And then once the course is live, going through like a huge crazy checklist of like, okay, did you forget this? Did you skimp on this? Et cetera, et cetera. Like, what's a really good title for it? I actually go through and personally write their sales page, because like whenever they do it themselves, it typically is not very good, because it's one of those things that it's hard to know how to do correctly unless you have a really extensive background in copywriting or marketing or something like that. So I go through, I do that myself, and then we go through this a launch phase, kind of like what Rob said. Actually, I don't do the free to paid thing, though. That's a really good idea. I'm probably going to start testing that out and see if that works better. But there's a series of steps you want to go through, and I think we're all familiar with at least the major ones of free students, getting reviews, cross promotions with your own courses, things like that. And kind of what I mentioned in my initial story about being on Udemy originally is like, there's lots of variables in creating and marketing an online course. There's too many variables if you're doing it externally, but there's still a whole lot of variables, a whole lot of things you got to remember and deal with, even if you're on Udemy. And I know, like, probably when we talk about Udemy, when Udemy talks about Udemy, when you see stuff about Udemy, it's kind of marketed as being very, very simple. And it's true that it's much simpler than any alternative that I know of, but it's still kind of complicated. There's a lot of things a lot of people forget. There's a lot of mistakes to be made. So I guess that I want to have people keep that in mind if they watch this. That like it's easier, but it's still a little bit difficult. And don't feel bad if you're not doing well right now. There's a learning curve associated with it. Most people don't do well. The first like at least 3 months is what I find is about the rough time to do well. Although Matt's, I guess, is the exception. But yeah, that's a quick rundown of what I would suggest to people.
Yeah, I think that those are some great ideas. Now, you mentioned a checklist. Do you actually have something out there where people can download maybe a checklist, or do you guys know of if Udemy has a checklist of things like that to remember?
I've seen some other people who put together certain versions of that, but it's never one that I liked well enough to use myself. So I actually use a Trello board just to manage the actual workflow of completing it. But that's actually a good idea. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
put that, when somebody emails me, I can send that to them in a PDF or something.
I think it would be a great idea for you. One of the things that I know just to kind of, establish myself is that I put together this course promotion checklist because we talked about, some offering some free coupons and stuff like that, and those different sites that are out there, like what Best Black Hat Forum, where you can put out the free coupons, and then there are other websites where you can put out your discounted coupons. So I came up with a list of all of the different places online, and then also the groups on Facebook that allow you to post your courses. And I know that Rob is also very active in putting information on his book and his courses out there on those groups. So I think that those are the kind of things that help new students, is just a list of things like, did I do this? Did I do this? So that might be a good idea for you. Matt, what do you think that it takes to, some of the things to be a good instructor on Udemy?
Validating your core subject and finding out if there are already people already buying the core subjects that you're wanting to teach about. Making sure that your course stays relevant for the next 3 to 5 years so you don't have to keep updating everything. Making sure that your courses can reach the potential of worldwide. So I know my eBay course, it was my experiences in the US, and it kind of makes it very hard to sell it internationally because I think 20% of Udemy students are from India. And people from India couldn't necessarily use my course. And a course like Alan's course about YouTube, everyone in the world can learn and use that course. So if your course can have an international reach, then that's great too. Let's see. I think creating a ton of courses too. I just partnered with my friend who has his master's in organizational psychology, works at HR in IBM, and we plan on creating 50 courses this year. And the reach that he has, he knows we have totally different backgrounds. I'm the guy who likes low upfront costs. Anyone can do this. And then he's a psychology guy and a lot of hypnosis. So we made a course, Conquering Stress with Hypnosis, True Confidence with Hypnosis. And he's coming out with some HR courses that we could potentially sell to organizations and making sales in bulk. So the potential and all the other things that Udemy offers, and I mean, because I don't know how well Udemy for organizations is, but I know from my eBay business that selling in bulk just is amazing because you get to affect so many people's lives, and it's that extra money that you're selling 10 or 100 courses at once. And I think the whole concept of Udemy, where you can reach people in India where they have a caste system and 800 million people aren't really allowed to go to college and they're tied to farming. It's just an amazing thing that we're doing, and we're spreading our knowledge and helping people improve their lives. And that's one of the huge things about Udemy that I really love about it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, not only worldwide, but even here in, like the United States, I live in Idaho, which the area that I live in is the most populated area of the state, but it's only 1.6 million, whereas, when I lived in a place like Seattle, that area is several million, and then you go into New York or whatever. It allows people out in the middle of nowhere or any country to be able to educate themselves, to be able to have a better life. And connecting with people online like I have from other countries, and to hear stories. I mean, Alan was talking about the unemployment rate for younger people in Spain. It's like that in a lot of countries in Europe, and we think, that our unemployment rate is high, but it's nothing compared to the rest of the world. And the things like Udemy and affordable computers and broadband connections allow people anywhere to start educating themselves to have a better life. So that's what I think is cool about teaching this stuff. So we'll finish this question with Rob and get some information from him. We're just almost 15 after the hour, and I know we started a little bit late. Do you guys have a problem with going just a little bit longer with today's discussion?
Sounds good.
You guys good? Okay. Go ahead, Rob, and let us know what you think that it takes to be a good instructor.
Well, the first thing I would say would be to persevere with it. I think a mistake would be to lock yourself up in an attic and work on the best video course you could do in isolation for 6 months, and then put it out there with no feedback from anyone, and dump it on Udemy and expect something to happen. I think it's an ongoing process. But I would add to that I'm very interested in growing a brand, and I have been blogging since 2006, and I see Udemy as a kind of lead generation arm for that brand, and because there's so many other opportunities out there for us to create content, reach people, help people, and get financial benefit from that. So what happened with me, I'm slightly different to what the other guys are saying, is that because I'm a kind of 80% content, 20% marketing kind of guy, because I blogged and continue to blog, I find out I get the awesome research, the market research from the blog, because some blog posts do well and some blog posts do badly, and you learn all about the headlines and what Alan was talking about, the value to the customer, the what you can give to the customer through the headline and in the content. I picked it up all through blogging. So, for example, my most successful course is called Running a Web Design Business. And I used to write about all sorts of things on my blog, including running a graphic design business. And I found out through Google and, obviously you can use Google Keyword Planner tool, that running a web design business is that much, people are much more interested in it. Loads of people can do it. Loads of people can be a web designer from home. Not everyone thinks that they could be a graphic designer from home. They could, but they just don't think they can. So I knew that title was going to sell well on Udemy because it did so well on my blog. So I'm a big fan of blogging, YouTube, putting out content all the time, because it teaches you so much about your audience. And you can, every platform's different, I know, but that's how I've come into it, because I'm not too into looking at figures and spreadsheets and stuff like that. I'm not very good at that.